Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over section 9.2a of our virtual algebra 2 text. We're going to be looking at how to carry out operations on functions. Alright, before we get started, we're going to be taking a look at the formulas that will be guiding our operation execution process. Alright, so we'll just term these formulas. The first one is the sum formula, and that is written by f plus g of x. F plus g of x just simply means you add the function f of x and g of x together. Okay. Second one is the difference, f minus g of x, and that's given by the function f of x minus g of x. And then we have the product formula. Now, how do you express the product of functions? Simply f times g of x is the condensed way of writing it, and it just simply means multiply the function f of x with g of x. Okay? And then we have the quotient operation. F over g of x is the condensed format of writing it, and this means you take the function f of x and divide it by g of x. And then the last one is composition operation. In a condensed form is f circle g of x, and then this simply means f composed with g of x. So basically you plug g of x into all the x's in f of x. Alright, so the instructions for the examples we're going to do are to carry out the specified operation. Okay, carry out the specified operation. Alright, for number one, let's say we have g of x equals 3x minus 2, and f of x equals x squared minus x, and you're to find g minus f of x. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's start with the formula. G minus f of x simply means that you're going to take g of x and subtract f of x from it. G of x is 3x minus 2. Okay, and then we're subtracting x squared minus x. Now, notice I placed f of x in the parentheses. That is extremely important. Okay, parentheses helps you avoid making errors associated with distributing the negative sign. Okay, so notice what happens when I proceed to simplify. I'll have 3x minus 2. Then I distribute this this minus, imagine as though there's a negative 1 here, distribute that negative 1 to the two terms in the parentheses. What happens is that their signs invert. Okay, so it becomes negative x squared, or negative 1x squared, plus x. So putting that parenthesis will help you avoid forgetting to distribute this minus with this, which results in the sign becoming a plus. Alright, so let's go ahead and simplify. We're going to be combining like terms, starting with the biggest degree term. Negative x squared stands alone, so we have negative x squared. Next, in the order of degrees, is the first degree term, 3x, positive 3x, and positive x. You combine those together, 1 plus 3 is 4, so plus 4x. And then lastly, we have negative 2, the constant, or 0 degree term, minus 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your final answer for g minus f evaluated at x. Alright, let's take a look at question number 2 on how to carry out operations on functions. Now, what if we have f of x equals 2x squared minus 1 and g of x equals 2x plus 1? And let's say we are to find f plus g of x. Okay, let's go ahead and try this out. So solutions as follows. We're going to start with the formula f plus g of x. Just simply means that you take the function f of x and you add g of x. Okay. Alright, so what is f of x? F of x is 2x squared minus 1. And then we're adding g of x, which is 2x plus 1. I use the parentheses here, even though it doesn't really impact the result, but it's always good practice to use parentheses after an operation. Alright? So let's go ahead and simplify that. We have 2x squared minus 1 plus 2x plus 1 is as though you distributed a positive 1 across these two terms, which does not impact the sign. Now let's go ahead and simplify. Starting with the highest degree term, 2x squared. Nothing to be combined with, so we bring it down, 2x squared. And then we have the first degree term, positive 2x. Bring that down, plus 2x. There's nothing to be combined with it. And then lastly, we have negative 1 plus 1. They're opposites. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is our final answer, f plus g of x. Alright, let's take a look at the next problem, problem number 3. Let's say we have f of t equals t plus 1 and g of t is equal to 4t minus 4. Okay. Alright, and then what if we were to find f over g evaluated at t? Let's take a look at that one. So let's start with the formula. F over g evaluated at t simply means we're taking the function f of t and dividing it by g of t. Okay? So f of t is t plus 1. So we're going to divide that by g of t. G of t is 4t minus 4. Okay? So the question is, can we reduce? Can we like divide across, reduce the t's? And the answer is no. Only divide out common factors from the numerator and the denominator, or divide something that's common across every single term in the numerator and denominator. Alright? But the safest way to avoid making mistakes is factor out common factors first before you reduce. Common factors are associated with terms by multiplication. So just a slight alteration here. Let's say I had a parenthesis here, and then I have a 2 and a 2. Now this 2 is associated with the denominator by multiplication. This 2 is associated with the numerator by multiplication. You have the right to divide out because the inverse of multiplication is division. But in the case of minus and plus, you cannot divide minuses or pluses vertically, okay, because division is not the inverse of plus or minus. So what does that mean? It means that this is the simplest form since there's no factors to be taken out. So that basically is our final answer, f over g of t. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the next question. for number 4, let's say you have g of x equals 2x squared minus 3x, and h of x equals 4x minus 4. And your task is to find g times h of x. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and work on this. So for this one, we're going to start with the formula g times h of x. In its expanded form just basically means you're taking g of x and multiplying it by h of x. Okay? So g of x is 2x squared minus 3x. And then we're multiplying that by 4x minus 4. Since we're multiplying two binomials, we can just FOIL or double distribute. Okay, so just multiply the first, the outer, multiply the inner, and then the last. Okay, so if you multiply, you have 8x to the third as a result of multiplying 2x squared and 4x minus 8x squared minus 12x squared plus 12x. Okay, minus times minus is a plus. Now let's go ahead and simplify. We're going to combine like terms. So we're going to have, what are we going to have? 8x cubed. That's the first one. That basically is the only third degree term that we have there. And then 8x squared and 12x squared are identical degrees, so their signs are the same, so we're going to add and keep the sign, minus 20x squared. And then the last term is 12x plus 12x. Okay, so that's the final answer for g times h evaluated at x. Alright, let's take a look at the next one. This one we're going to be carrying out a composition operation. Number 5, what if we have f of x equals x squared minus 2x and g of x equals 4x minus 1. The task is to find f circle g of x. Alrighty, let me fix my composition symbol here to make it clear. We have a circle. Okay, now let's do this. To get started, we're going to start by writing down the formula. What does f circle g of x mean? So f circle g of x basically means that you're going to take f and you're going to plug in g into f. Okay? Alright, so to do this, we're going to start by writing down our outer function. F of x is f of x is x squared minus 2x. Alright, now let's get it prepped for composition. We're going to take out the x's, okay? So take out the x's, if parenthesis square minus 2 parentheses. Alright, on the left side we're going to plug in the name of the inner function, which is g of x. And then on the right side we'll plug in the value of g of x, which is 4x minus 1. So you put in 4x minus 1, and here you put 4x minus 1. Now let's go ahead and simplify. Now you have to be careful when simplifying 4x minus 1. You do not distribute the power across sum and differences, only products and quotients. So whenever you have the power of a sum or a difference, you have to multiply that expression the number of times the power is. Okay, so you have square here, that means you have 4x minus 1 multiplied by itself twice. Negative 2, remember we're taking both the number and the sign, and we're distributing it to positive 4x and negative 1. So the answer becomes minus 8x plus 2. Now 4x minus 1, let's simplify that. We are multiplying two binomials, so we can just simply follow it out first, outer, inner, and then last. Okay, so 4x times 4x is 16x squared, and then 4x times 1 minus 4x, negative 1 times 4x minus 4x, minus 1 times minus 1 plus 1 minus 8x plus 2. Alright, let's go ahead and simplify that. So we're going to have, let's combine like terms, 16x squared stands alone. And then we can combine minus 4 minus 4 minus 8. That's going to be negative 16x minus 16x. And then we have positive 1, positive 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 3. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the expression that's equal to f composed with g of x. Alright, so how well do you understand the concept we just covered concerning operations and functions? To demonstrate mastery, we'd like you to try out the following problems. We're going to put them up. You copy them down, pause the video, attempt them, and then initiate playback to see what the answers are. Okay? So, instructions are to carry out the specified operation. Number 1, let's say you have g of x equals 2x squared minus 2, and h of x equals negative 2x plus 1. Number 2, let's say you have f of x equals x to the third minus 2, and g of x equals x minus 2. Oh, number 1, I didn't say what to find. Let's say you're to find g composed with h of x. Number 2, let's say you're to find what f plus g of x is. Number 3, let's say you have g of x equals x squared plus 5, and h of x equals 4. Let's write that again. 4x minus 3. And here, let's say you to find g times h of x. Number 4, let's say you have f of x equals negative 4x minus 1, and g of x equals x cubed plus 3x. And you have to find f over g of x. And then lastly, for number 5, let's say you have f of x is equal to negative x to the third minus 2x, and g of x is x plus 4, and you have to find f minus triple g of x. Okay, so at this time, go ahead and pause the video and try out these 5 problems. When you're done, you can click on the play button to see what the answers are. Alright, so let's assume that we've had a chance to try the problems. The answers are as follows. For number 1, the answer is going to be 4x squared minus 4x minus 1. For number 2, the answer is x to the third plus x minus 4. Number 3, the answer is 4x to the third minus 3x squared plus 20x minus 15. Number 4 is negative 4x minus 1 over x to the third plus 3x. And lastly, number 5 is negative x to the third minus 5x minus 12. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. I really appreciate it. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your studies of operations and functions, do give us a thumbs up. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. If you have any questions or comments, just place it in the comment section below, and we'll be more than glad to respond. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other tutorials such as this. We upload math videos on a consistent basis. For more support resources and tools, do visit our website at mathgotserved.com. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.